Welcome to Unforbidden Truth. I'm Andrew. This is a bonus episode featuring an interview with Tennessee death row inmate Steven Wiggins and his co-defendant Erika Castro-Miles. I had the opportunity to speak to both of them at the same time. This is the first time both of them have spoken to each other since being convicted of the murder of Sergeant Daniel Baker. Sergeant Daniel Baker of the Dickson County Sheriff's Office in Tennessee tragically lost his life in the line of duty on May 30th, 2018. Responding to a report of a suspicious vehicle, Sergeant Baker encountered Steven Wiggins, a wanted felon, and Erika Castro-Miles. Wiggins, upon being discovered for his outstanding warrants, allegedly shot and killed Sergeant Daniel Baker in a heinous act of violence. Following the murder, a widespread manhunt ensued to apprehend Wiggins, who had fled the scene. The community and law enforcement agencies rallied in a massive effort to locate and bring the perpetrator to justice. The search spanned several days and involved multiple law enforcement agencies, highlighting the grave dangers officers face in the line of duty. The aftermath of Sergeant Baker's murder left a profound impact on the Dickson County community and beyond. It had sparked discussions about the safety of law enforcement officers and the measures needed to protect those who serve and protect. The case also underscored the importance of addressing criminal justice issues, such as the apprehension of dangerous felons and the support for families of fallen officers. Steven Wiggins was sentenced to death for his role in the crime. Erika Castro-Miles was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Here's my interview with Steven Wiggins and Erika Castro-Miles. So this is the first time you guys have spoken since being convicted. Steven was sentenced to death. Erika was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Before we start any questions, do you guys have anything to say to one another to get off your chest or clear the air or anything like that?
You go first, Erika.
You go first? Wow, okay, put me on the spot. In the beginning, I was more angry and hurt than anything. But after sitting around thinking about it for a while and going through all the emotions, I realized that he didn't mean to do any of this. This wasn't his fault. It just happened. And he's not that type of person, and I still love him. There's nothing anybody can do to change that. And I forgave him for everything, and it's just time to move forward.
You done?
That's all I have to say about that.
Okay. For me, I'm sorry for putting you through all this. I'm sorry for putting your family through this. I'm sorry for putting my family through this. Girl, I'll be so lost without you. You just don't even know. But I'm glad that you forgave me. I'm glad that we're moving forward past this. And I just want you to be happy.
And I'll be here till the end, like I said. There's nothing stopping me from doing that. Nothing stopping me from being by your side through it all. I know what kind of person you are, and it's just something that happened.
Yeah, I was a little out there at that moment.
Right.
I'm sorry for even being that person around you. You know what I mean?
I know. But, I mean, it's not like he went out and planned to do this. It wasn't planned. It wasn't anything. It just was something that an unfortunate event, and 3 families got mixed up in it, and all we can do is make things better from here on out. And I'm just going to be here to be your rock and walk through everything with you.
Well, I ain't going nowhere. I'm pretty well stuck, like glue.
So let's say that both of you, let's say that Sergeant Daniel Baker's widow is listening right now. Is there anything either of you would like to say to her or say to the family if in the off chance they do listen to this?
You go first, Eric.
I guess this is an unfortunate event, and I'm sorry for the loss, and that there wasn't anything that I could do, that I ran and that I was scared. But There is no but in the whole situation. I sympathize with them, and I am sorry, and I'm trying to do everything I can to make myself a better person and stay clean in here. And I wish we could turn back time and change everything.
All right. Just back to family. I'm truly sorry about this. I don't ever expect y'all to forgive me for this. Erika had nothing to do with it, and I appreciate y'all being lenient on her with her sentence and not giving her the same fate as me. There's nothing I can do to bring him back, but I wish every day that I could. And I'm sorry. And I'm willing to do, even give my life to try to do anything I can to make this up to you.
So, Erika, this is a two-part question, and I mean no offense when I ask this, but for one, how do you feel about the death penalty after this case took place? And two, if Steven doesn't deserve the death penalty, what do you think his sentence would ultimately be if it was in your hands?
Oh. What do I think about the death penalty? I have a lot of feelings towards the death penalty. I feel that it angers me in a lot of ways because I feel that the men and women on death row are being treated unfairly. I mean, I know that what they've done, that what some of them have done has been a heinous crime and everything, but at the same time, how does the state feel that it's not okay for one person to murder another, but it's okay for the state to murder somebody? And that's the way I see it. I mean, I've talked to a lot of women in here who feel the same way, that we're all against the death penalty for a number of reasons. I mean, they don't get the proper medical treatment that they need. I mean, they are the last ones to get treated anyway. They're treated unfairly in a lot of ways, and it's not right. They're mostly treated like animals, and they're not animals. They're not a showcase. And I know for being in the back with Krista Pike, a number of times when they bring new officers in, all they want to do is stare at the death row inmates. They don't want to actually know. And from my point of view, they're not being heard from their point of view. They're not being heard whatsoever. They don't have a voice. And if it was me, yeah, he would have been sentenced probably to life. And I feel that a life sentence is more fair than death row.
And Steven, what do you think? If not the death penalty, what do you think you should have been sentenced to if you don't think the death penalty is fair in your case?
I hate to say it, but I think the death penalty was fair in my case. I know I'm not exactly for the death penalty because, I mean, I'm actually in here with an innocent man that's been on death row for, I think, 23 years now. And the state's just now looking at his case, and new witnesses have come forward, saying that he didn't do it. And, I don't agree with things like that. Not everybody that's here has a crime worthy of death penalty punishment. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not going to say that everybody here is innocent. I'm not going to say everybody here doesn't deserve it. I mean, there's some messed up things that's been done in this world. And but I believe that over the last few decades that a few times it's been handed out just too too easily to people. You know what I mean? But people who actually come here and see how we live and look at the programs that we do here on death row and get to meet the people that are here, that are the decent ones that sit down and have conversations and talk to and learn their level of intelligence and respect and humbleness. Because we got to make every day for what we know will be a set date for the rest of our lives the best that we can. And it's not always easy here because, as she said, as Erika said, you know, there's some guards that just come in here and think this is death row, that we're just pieces of fucking shit that don't matter. And they try to start arguments with us, and they try to provoke us. And it just, we as a whole around here don't let that happen. Unit 2, death row right here in Nashville, you can look it up at River Bend. We are the most least, I mean, there's no gang activity, there's no overdosing, there's no stabbings, there's no fighting, there's, you know what I mean? We are probably the safest unit in Tennessee to actually be at in prison. So I just ask people out there to really take a look at people on death row and, you know, reconsider what really got these people here. It was 45 seconds of my life. Just 45 seconds changed my whole life and put me on death row. Something I didn't plan to do. Something I don't know, I did. You know what I mean? I know it's not an excuse, but it happened, and I'm going to be executed for it.
So following up with that question, this sounds like an oxymoron because the death penalty isn't humane no matter how you look at it. But how do you
I'm not saying it's actually humane. There are some bad people in this world. You know what I mean? People who do horrible things, unimaginable things, especially to like children and things like that. You know what I mean? Shouldn't. I don't know how to express it and not offend people, but just damn, you know, some people just are really messed up and probably don't deserve to live for doing some of the things that they do in their lives.
Right. So I know this may sound morbid, and I mean no offense, but if it were up to you, what would be the most humane way to be executed if you were to choose your fate?
Well, here we only have the option of electric chair or lethal injection. So, me personally, I'm probably going to go with lethal injection because we're supposed to have the new, I can't think of what it's called. It's the one drug, lethal injection here. It's supposed to be the most humane. It's pretty much just like an overdose. You know what I mean? From what I understand, as long as it's done right, you just close your eyes and away you go. So that's the way I'm going to go.
Do you think about that often?
every day, man. I mean, just I don't know, the thought of the reality of what it's going to be like when it actually gets here. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's understandable. Recently, right here in the podcast feed, you heard a full episode of one of my favorite podcasts called Tapes from the Dark Side. The episode was about a seemingly normal kid in his 20s from an upper-middle-class family in Madison, Wisconsin. His name was Chandler Halderson. He was an Eagle Scout who had 2 loving and supportive parents. He had a beautiful girlfriend. He had just graduated from college and had multiple job prospects, one in particular with a starting salary of $80,000 per year. He really seemed to have everything going for him, and then one day, without warning, he murdered both of his parents in cold blood. And the manner in which he conducted these murders is quite shocking. He shot both of his parents in the back with an SKS semi-automatic rifle. He then dismembered their bodies in the family basement, decapitated them, chopped off their hands and feet with an axe. He sawed through their femurs with a bow saw and a keyhole saw, and then, over a period of several hours, he burned their skulls, kneecaps, hands, and feet in the family fireplace. Anything that didn't fit, he hid throughout rural Wisconsin. He even hid his father's torso on his girlfriend's family farm, just a few dozen yards from their swimming pool. If you missed that episode, then go back right now in our feed and look for the episode titled, Listen to the Show, Tapes from the Dark Side. And if you like that episode, it's a season-long case with over 10 episodes to binge, going in detail over all the events that led up to the brutal crime. All the episodes are free and are in their podcast feed. Find them by searching Tapes from the Dark Side in Apple, Spotify, or any podcast app. One reason I like Tapes from the Dark Side, and I know you will too, is they use real audio from the cases. The current season has a ton of jailhouse phone calls, which you can guess, made me interested right away. There's also interviews, footage from the trial, and interrogation room recordings. I'm confident that my listeners will truly appreciate this show. Again, go back in my feed right now and check it out. The episode is titled, Listen to the Show, Tapes from the Dark Side. Okay, let's get back to our episode. So, Erika, how do you deal with knowing that one day Steven more than likely might be executed unless something in his appeals comes up and he's resentenced to life without the possibility of parole?
How do I deal with it? It's not easy. It's not easy. And I have a lot of support in here. Because I do think about it every day. On a constant basis. But I'm not the only one who thinks about it either. I know his mother thinks about it. I know that my daughter thinks about it all the time. I know she struggles with it, and I struggle with it on a daily basis. But I have to fight that every day.
Sorry, but it's going to be okay. It ain't nothing. It's part of life. It's going to happen. Regardless if I was in here or out there, it'll probably happen sooner if I was out there.
So, before we end this session, is there anything that either of you would like to say, whether it's about the death penalty, about each other, or about this case for that matter?
You go, Steven.
I'm going to say that on this case, there were some flaws in the case and the way it was handled. and some things people testified to that wasn't true at all. And it's just like, I don't want to sound offensive in this, but it's like just because Daniel Baker was a cop, they made it almost, I don't know, I feel it was disrespectful to him the way they portrayed it on TV and in the media and things like that. You know what I mean? And I think it was disrespectful to his family to allow certain things, you know, that happened in the trial. And you know, I stand by my conviction. You know, right now I've stated it. The Baker family knows I've stated it in court on a court Zoom meeting. It's live on YouTube. How I feel about proceeding from this point on, but under regards to my lawyer right now, I am letting my lawyers proceed with what they need to do in the way that they think is the proper way to handle it from this point. But I just, you know, I said it was 45 seconds of my life that changed everything. And it can happen to anybody. It doesn't have to be the same situation as I was in, but it can be anything. It can be a car wreck going down the road. It can be looking away from the road for a minute to look at your cell phone driving somewhere. And next thing you know, you're going to wind up in prison for the rest of your life for killing somebody. You know, people need to take more understanding of their actions and responsibilities, and especially if you have mental health issues or drug addictions or, you know, any kind of addiction at all that warps your world from clarity, and you need to seek help, because it's not the way to go. It's not the road to go down, because it just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And when you hit bottom, it's not just your life. You know what I mean? It's everything around you at that point in time. It's bottom with. And I think people need to be more considerate of that in the world.
And do you have anything that you want to end with, Erika?
It just, like you said, it just takes a split second for one thing to change your life. The trial, I don't think that they were handled properly. There was a lot of things that were left out. I mean, they had people... In the beginning, they made me out to look like this evil person, and the media they turned everything about me inside out. They made everything about Steven inside out. It just, you know, I know Steven's just a big cuddly bear. I know that he would never hurt anybody. Not when he's in his right state of mind, he wouldn't. There's just no way. He's not that type of person. To my girls and my mom, I just want them to know that no matter what, I love them and I miss them more than anything. but mainly to my mom, that I'm sorry that I put myself in this situation, but nobody forced me. And that I can't help who I fall in love with, and that I love her. I hope one day she decides to talk to me.
All right, we can end there. Thank you guys for doing this. I know it was a little emotional, but I appreciate it, and hopefully, somebody will get something good from this, a good outcome from this, maybe whether it be the victim's family or, just somebody in the general public.
Yeah.
One more thing, Andrew. I just want everybody to know that, yes, Sergeant Baker's family are the victim. Sergeant Baker is the victim and their family, but at the same time, they need to realize that their family's not the only one who changed. Their family's not the only one who has to deal with a lot of different things in their lives and a lot of emotions and everything. There are 2 other families that have to deal with a lot, and there are kids in the families that are suffering as well. And it's just as much of a heartache for them as it is for them.
That was my interview with Steven Wiggins and Erika Castro-Miles. I have a new website, which is www.unforbiddentruth.com. Go ahead and check it out. For extra content, ad-free episodes, and more, head on over to patreon.com/unforbiddentruth. Thank you for listening. See you on the next one.